Hi there, welcome back to Amazing Psychology. I'm Priya Varghese, and today's topic is a very simple and small one. It's about the environmental influences on prenatal development. So let's just take a quick look. I'm sure it'll be easy for you, and if you have any concerns or would like to leave me some comments, please do in the comment box below. Thank you. The environmental influences on prenatal development has been asked several times again in the question papers. Alone, it has been asked as a 6-mark question, and sometimes it has also been asked as a 3-mark question. So let's take a look at what it is. Please open up your book to page number 25, which is in Unit 2 of your Lifespan Psychology course book. And in section 2.5, let's start reading. The environment does indeed begin to influence the individual as soon as he or she is conceived. So some people might think that environmental influences only affect a child after it is born, but that's not true. Influences happen from the time the child is conceived, which is when the sperm cell and the egg cell fuse together to form the zygote. So let's move to this line here. Meanwhile, the lump of cells is surrounded by the larger environment of the mother's uterus, and this environment is surrounded by the world in which she lives. So what we understand from this is, even though the zygote is isolated in the uterus of the mother, it is still influenced by external factors because the womb is within the mother and the mother is influenced by external environmental factors. So let's look at what are the different types of environmental influences. The first is mother's diseases. So what kind of diseases are we talking about here? We are talking about diseases like German measles, rubella, cytomegalovirus, and there are also other diseases like mumps, polio, and influenza, which can cause high levels of defects in babies. Sometimes diseases such as these can also result in stillbirth, deafness, prematurity, miscarriage, defects in vital organs such as pancreas, heart, and liver, and also other congenital malformations. You must be knowing what it is, like in the case of polio, so that doesn't require any further explanation. Another factor which increases risks of congenital defects happening is if the mother is diabetic. And another thing is blood poisoning. So if the mother has some form of blood poisoning while she is pregnant, that can also adversely affect the baby. So we talked about 3 different types of diseases. The first is virus diseases like German measles and rubella and cytomegalovirus, polio, influenza, mumps. The second is a diabetic mother, and the third is blood poisoning. Let's move to the second type of environmental influence, different types of drugs and chemicals. For a healthy delivery, it is necessary to avoid any kind of drugs and chemicals unless they are professionally recommended by doctors. It's very important for pregnant mothers to take the advice of a doctor before they take any kind of drug, even if it is something that is commonly taken, such as antihistamines, aspirins, barbiturates, and then of course people who are addicts like heroin addicts. Even insulin in large doses can also create a lot of effect on the unborn baby. And taking medicines such as quinine, which is used for treating malaria, the presence of lead also causes problems. You must have heard long back, maybe while you were in school, about the case of thalidomide. This was medicine that was given by doctors to help prevent morning sickness, which is the tendency to vomit during the earlier months of pregnancy. So the women who took that, of course, got over their morning sickness, but unfortunately the kids who were born had congenital defects. So we can see that a drug actually caused a congenital defect, and therefore you have to be very careful when you take medicine during pregnancy. Even going for heavy consumption of alcohol can cause abnormalities. It can lead to brain cell abnormalities, can lead to impairment in eye, ear functions, facial disfiguration, abnormalities in the formation of limbs, mental retardation, and even attention deficit disorders. So you already know that there's quite an epidemic of attention deficit disorders in today's society, and sometimes some of that has been caused by excessive consumption of alcohol. You can also see that cigarette smoking has an adverse effect on the unborn baby, sometimes even leading to premature birth. So all of these factors which is the drugs that we talked about, consumption of alcohol and cigarette smoking or tobacco. All of these cause problems during the stages of pregnancy. The third environmental factor is radiation. Sometimes radiation can even result in spontaneous abortion. So this is the reason why pregnant women are not given X-rays, because it can adversely affect the child and result in mutations in the genome, which can also cause congenital abnormalities. But apart from that, you might think that even if you avoid taking X-rays, that you're going to be safe, but that's not the case. There are some regions in the world where radiation levels are high, especially in places where some kind of nuclear blast has happened, like in Japan, the Hiroshima blast that took place. So in those areas, because the radiation has long-lasting effects, people who live around those areas have higher chances of being affected by radiation, and so the kids who are born also have high chances of having abnormalities. The next reason is abortion, but abortion, as you know it, is termination of the child. It can be as a result of a decision by the parents because they don't want the child, or because they have some kind of medical problem and they are not able to carry the child to full term, so they have to make a decision to abort. Whichever be the reason, abortion always results in the death of the child. The next environmental influence is the age of the mother. You've heard of elderly primary women. Elderly primary women are women who are over the age of 35 years, and the reason why they are at risk of producing children with abnormalities is because the egg, all the women, every girl child is born with the full set of eggs that they will ever produce in their life in their ovaries from the time of birth. So these eggs then, over a course of time, once they reach maturity, that is when they hit puberty, the eggs are released one by one every month. There's a period cycle, and then there's the ovulation cycle, during which an egg is released. And again, if the egg is not fused with a sperm cell and a baby is not formed, the periods occur, and the cycle continues. So as a woman grows older, her chances of being affected by other external environmental factors and harmful agents increases, which increases the chance of having birth abnormalities in the children who are born. The next factor, which is the sixth one, is nutrition or diet of the mother. Since the mother is the only source of nutrition for the unborn child, a diet having proper balance of proteins, vitamins, fats, minerals and carbohydrates is very, very essential, because the child depends on the mother for all the nutrients that is needed for its growth. And if the mother is malnutritioned, then it can result in premature delivery. It can cause low birth weight, stillbirth, growth retardation, poor mental functioning, and even it can put the mother herself at risk because of pregnancy complications. The seventh point is stress in the mother. Now, this is the reason why pregnant women are supposed to keep their minds relaxed and be always happy, because the stress that the mother goes through during the time of pregnancy also affects the child. The emotions, because when she has some adverse emotions within her, the emotions trigger the autonomic nervous system, which in turn triggers the endocrine glands, and the endocrine glands then secrete hormones such as cortisol in response to the stress, or other hormones like adrenaline. These hormones can actually travel through the placenta and affect the fetus directly. So stress in a mother is a very important factor when it comes to having birth abnormalities or problems in the child. The last point, which is the eighth one, is Rh incompatibility. You must have heard of blood groups being A positive, A negative, O positive, O negative. There's a whole lot of different types of blood groups, and the negative and the positive is represented, is what the Rh factor is. So people who have Rh factor positive, who are A positive, for example, the positive stands for the presence of Rh factor, which is a protein which is found in the blood, and almost 85% of the world's population has the Rh factor, but there is some part of the population that does not have the Rh factor. These are the people who have the negative blood groups. So if a person who is a positive blood grouped male and a negative blood grouped female, they get married and they have a child who inherits the positive blood group gene from the father, the child will have positive blood group, but the mother is negative. And because the mother's body does not understand that this positive Rh factor which is present is actually from the child, it sees it as an external and a foreign agent that it needs to attack. And the mother's own immune system starts attacking the child and destroying the child's red blood cells, which results in a case called erythroblastosis. If it's not taken care of, this can result in the death of the child or even mental retardation. So I hope today's class was very clear and you've understood everything. Please leave me some comments if you have any questions, and please remember to like, share and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care.